We are hated everywhere in the world. We are treated like we are not human beings. Why should we treat each other like that ourselves? That's why the EFF here in South Africa is told every time that we won't vote for you because you want foreigners in our country, you protect foreigners in our country. So be it. We're not going to kill Africans in exchange for votes. I will rather stay at home in the villages because that is not just us.
Welcome again to another episode of the WSXM podcast. As always, telephone. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, my mantra, United Africa is an undisputed Africa, which is a fact. It's undeniable. So, listen to this speech that Julius Malema is about to give.
Cuba is one of the countries we look up to. And Russia, we've got historical ties with it. We know that Putin is not the left, but his attitude against imperialist forces finds resonance with the EFF. And those are the kind of people we'll rely on. BRICS is one such a structure, but we regard progressive structures that the EFF will align with. We make no apology with our alliance with China because we believe that China can help us even with load shedding. We need a government that has got interests and that negotiate good terms and say to China, build it, operate it, and hand it over to South Africa. The Chinese will never refuse to do that. They've never refused to do that. But because we are hell-bent at our alliances with the West and America, we've missed opportunities to strengthen our own economy through fostering working relationship with countries that will not destroy us. China is not going to colonize Africa. The problem is your corrupt leaders who go to China with empty bags and come back with money. They want money and they negotiate with money in their mind. So you come to me like that, I will also dribble you. So go there with proper ideas, not with corrupt mentality. There's no China that wants to colonize anyone. How do you get colonized now when you are the negotiator? South Africa has surrendered a port now in Durban now. That's colonialism, where you just take your port and give it to other people, surrendering your sovereignty, and later you're going to say people have colonized you. When you go to China and say, give us a power station in exchange for OR Tambo Airport, why would they miss that opportunity? It's not them, it's your stupidity as leaders. There's no policy of China. We've gone through it many times that seeks to colonize anyone.
Let's stop it right there for a minute. What you said about the Chinese, that's really interesting to me because America and Europe have been screaming that the Chinese is setting these death traps to trap African countries and the Caribbean islands in these traps to gain leverage in the countries. But I've always said this. Chinese will give anyone a loan. And because most countries know this, they go to China to get loans for whatever projects they want to do in the country. But Julius Malema is right with this, and I'm on the same wavelength, same thinking. If I'm giving you a loan, I'm not going to make the loan to be, let's say, in the best interest that I won't be able to recoup my money. I want to recoup my money and make more. So if you come to me for a loan, of course, if you don't come to me with a proper plan, with a well thought out plan to take this loan and to pay back, of course, I'm not going to tell you, yo, what you're doing there is not right because you won't be able to pay me back and I will be able to seize this and seize that. No. As a Chinese, if you come to me and tell me, okay, you can get control over my airport if you give me this power plan, even if I can't pay back. And they say, and you sign the deal. This is not colonization. If you are negotiating a deal, that's not colonization because you are in negotiation. No one is forcing you to take this deal. No one is. Because the IMF give loans, the World Bank gives loans, and they do the same thing. They do worse. So if you're going to go to the Chinese for a loan, make sure you have a proper plan. That's it, and make sure it's feasible. Don't be just handing out your airports or your wharfs or your ports to the Chinese as collateral, and then when they lose, you want to cry and say, "Oh, you was taking advantage of." Of course, anyone giving a loan will take advantage of. The loan giver will always take advantage of the loan taker. It's a fact. Let's continue the video. Boom.
But if people go there with better ideas, it's not a problem of China. It's their own problem. No socialist organization, and socialism teaches us that we can't engage in imperialist program. We can't engage in colonialist program. We intervene where necessary, and intervention does not mean interference. And that's what inspires that relationship with countries like China and Cuba too. The Cubans, you go to them, you seek solution, they will provide it. And then they don't say, give us this, give us that. It's South Africa that says, in exchange, we'll give you this. And when we give the Cubans the money that we are giving them, when we get accused, we over-explain ourselves that which we offered to the Cubans. The money to Cuba is not necessarily to pay for the doctors. It's a solidarity fund. We are in solidarity with Cuba and will double that money when we take over government. Because Cuba did not give us money. It gave us life. People died fighting for our democracy. Why should we be told by people who oppressed us that Cuba joined us to fight against how we must relate with Cuba? We cannot allow that. The war in Mozambique is exactly what I spoke about. But the problem, you are right, is this foreign interests that are interfering and even sponsoring the killing of each other in Mozambique. We should not, as Africans, anywhere, because we are rejected, we are hated everywhere, we should not find it easy to fight with each other. It must be the most painful and the most difficult thing for an African to take up guns and shoot at another African. Because if others can do it, they will do it with ease. It must be difficult for us. We are hated everywhere in the world. We are treated like we are not human beings. Why should we treat each other like that ourselves? That's why the EFF here in South Africa is told every time that we won't vote for you because you want foreigners in our country, you protect foreigners in our country. So be it. We're not going to kill Africans in exchange for votes. I will rather stay at home in the villages because that is not just us. So we are for Africans, and Africans everywhere must always find African solution to their problems without Sassol's interference, without France interference, without British interference. We need to sit down and find solutions of Africa by Africans and not this borrowed interference that we see all the time. So we are aware of what's happening in Mozambique, and we will make sure that the government of the EFF finds an African solution which is going to be permanent and not driven by foreign company or multinational companies' interests. Well, Panyaza is doing what he has to do because he can see that the ANC is in danger. He's trying to save it. That is an act of desperation. And it's not just an act of desperation, but also humiliation. You are seeking a job, you are told to come to the stadium to come and to get your appointment letter. You must all queue there to get in and all of that. It doesn't, there's no, NSD moment, doesn't have dignity in it. Yeah, and I think, and I'm happy you're raising it because our people should see it for what it is. It's an act of desperation. The last kicks of a dying horse. They are very dangerous. That's why they are doing what they are doing. They are on their way out, and they will do everything to clinch to power, but it's too late in the day. They are out. The ANC rules Gauteng with 50.1% as we speak now. So they know that there is nothing they can do that will make them win the elections next year. So they are going around hiring people, and then the next thing, if they don't give them stipend, even that stipend they are not getting. Because there's a huge fight that people have been hired and they are not being paid because procedure is not being followed. And because you don't follow procedure, you are going to humiliate these many young people who are hungry for jobs. The unity of the left is very paramount because capital is united. Capital is united against the working class, and the working class should come together. The left should come together. It's the business of the EFF to unite the left. And we're going to be very patient with them because they are coming through. They are coming to realize that the only way to get the leftist perspective taking over this country is through the EFF. And like you said, it's not an easy and ideological position. It requires a lot of patience and a lot of explanation. And we'll bring them together and ultimately will emerge and become a better country under the left forces. Thank you.
So, the guy, what do you think about that? What do you think about what Julius Malema is saying in his entire the speeches in its entirety? Do you agree with what he's saying or not? Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. There's not much to say after that. It's plain, it's straightforward, and it's easily understandable. It's not. There's no hidden agenda. There's no manipulation and nothing like that in this speech. It's a straight as I get it, take it speech. And one thing I must say though, I agree with soon-to-be President Julius Malema. I am not gonna hurt my African brothers and sisters to get vote because people have been bombarding him with this question all the time. He's for foreigners. He won't send them out, deport them, and all that. Well, what he's saying is factual. Africans let's say black people in a whole, is and has been hated worldwide wherever we go. In every European country. So they're in the Islamic world, Saudi Arabia and those places, America, Europe, black people and Africans are being hated against and being used. So why is it you want to do the same thing on the continent of Africa? That's what he's saying. No, I cannot kick out a Nigeria out of South Africa because I want votes. No, I'd rather not be president if that's the case. And I agree with that 100%. We cannot harm our fellow brothers and sisters over deals and over money or over deals. So anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching. Boom.